This is a compilation of 5 chilling moments caught on camera. 5 different urban explorers, 5 abandoned locations. This video is for storytelling and awareness only. Now, let's get into it. Christopher Brian Hill is an urban explorer who spent years recording raw, nighttime visits to abandoned buildings. And that nighttime and alone part matters, because it removes the one thing that keeps you safe: witnesses. In June of 2022, he visited the abandoned Westinghouse electric factory in Cleveland, Ohio, a massive industrial site that's been empty for decades, and within minutes of arriving, Chris hears gunshots, not close enough to see, but close enough to feel real. He even says it out loud, that it sounds like a shootout. Most people would leave right there, but he keeps going. He enters the building, finds a mattress on the floor, a sign someone has been sleeping there. Then he heads down into the basement, and the atmosphere changes fast. The ceiling is leaking, everything is wet, dead ends everywhere, and Chris keeps pausing because he hears something. At first he assumes it's an animal, until he finds shell casings on the ground. And suddenly, animal doesn't make sense anymore. A little later, he walks into a long corridor area and freezes, because at the far end of the room, there's a man, hunched over. No flashlight, no phone light, just a silhouette in the dark. Chris calls out, asks if he needs help. The man doesn't respond, doesn't move. Chris backs away and leaves him alone. But then, a few minutes later, Chris changes his mind. He says he wants to help the guy. He pulls out a $20 bill. He returns to the spot where the man was standing. He's gone. And in a place like that, gone doesn't mean he left. It can mean he stepped into a doorway, or behind a pillar, or into a darker corner, where he can watch you without you seeing him. Then it gets worse. Because later, while Chris is filming another room, if you look closely, on the far left side, you can see the man again, standing in a door frame, just staring. And Chris doesn't notice him at all, meaning that for who knows how long, this man may have been following him through the basement, silent, matching his pace. And then Chris hears something that finally flips the survival switch in his brain. A cell phone vibrating. Not his, somebody else's. Which means the creepiest possibility isn't the man he saw, it's the people he didn't. Chris leaves the building unharmed, but he never finds out who the man was, and he never uploads another video from that factory again. The second clip takes place in Estonia. A group of 4 teenagers explore an abandoned sauna that's been decaying for years, and you can tell instantly it's unstable. Mold on the walls, rust everywhere, holes in the floor, the kind of place that feels like it's breathing. They also start finding messages written on the walls, and one of them stands out because it feels less like graffiti and more like a warning. It reads, "You can't hide." They keep moving anyway. They joke a little. They shine flashlights into rooms that look empty, until one of them notices something strange. A doorway, covered by a curtain, like someone tried to hide it. So they do what people always do in horror movies. They pull it back and shine the flashlight inside, and immediately, a scream explodes out of the darkness. Not a distant sound, not outside. Inside the room, like the scream was waiting, right behind that curtain. The 4 teens run, not slowly, not cautiously. They sprint out of the building in a full panic. And when they finally get outside, the sun is already down. They pile into their car and leave, and they never return. And honestly, the scariest part of that moment isn't the scream itself. It's what it implies. That someone was in there quietly the entire time, listening to them talk, watching the flashlight beams sweep across the walls, waiting for the exact moment they got close enough to make sure they heard him. This one starts like a typical exploration video. 2 YouTubers, Meg and Chris, enter a rundown farmhouse in the UK. They find an entry point through an open window. Inside, it's a mess. Leaves on the floor, cobwebs, dust, dead animals, and small clues that someone may have been there recently. A newer light bulb, clothes that don't look ancient. Then they walk upstairs, enter a bedroom, and notice something strange. A thin strip of carpet laid across the floor like a pathway. And then Meg steps closer and sees a bed. And on the bed, someone is sleeping. A woman, alive. They didn't realize she was there until she wakes up. And the shock hits them both at once. Because this isn't a mannequin. This isn't a staged moment. This is a real person living in an abandoned house. They talk to her. She introduces herself as Jane. She says she has nobody, no family, nowhere else to go. So she's been living there. And then she says something that completely changes the mood. She's been there since 1993, nearly 30 years. At first, the story feels sad. Then it feels strangely warm, because instead of filming and leaving, they sit with her. They talk to her like a human being. They offer food, clean clothes, new sheets, and she hesitates, almost like she's scared to accept kindness. Later, Meg and Chris try to research the property. They learn conflicting details. They hear she might be cared for, that people know she's there, that there may be family involved. And eventually, they contact adult social services, who confirm they're aware but can't share details. So the ending is unsettling in a different way, because you don't know what's true. You don't know if Jane is choosing this, or trapped in it, or if someone is taking care of her in a way that keeps her hidden. And after that, there are no more updates. Just the uncomfortable reality that if another explorer enters that farmhouse, they might open that same bedroom door and find the same woman in the same bed. Back to Cleveland, another abandoned building. This time, a school, Robert Fulton Elementary, a place that was full of kids not that long ago, and now looks like something out of a nightmare. Chris Hill returns to explore it again, late at night, around 1 a.m., and the decay is extreme. Peeling walls, debris everywhere, dark corridors that feel endless. As he moves through the building, he starts hearing noises, but he doesn't see anyone. Then he goes down into the basement, and the basement is worse. More signs of people being there, a flooded room, makeshift living areas, and then, around the 30-minute mark, a loud banging sound hits from somewhere nearby. Not a random creak, not a settling noise, a deliberate bang. Like someone hit something to let him know they're there. Chris keeps moving. And then he finds a message on a chalkboard, a message that feels like it was written directly for him. Don't explore alone. There's also a keep out sign on a door. And of course, he goes in. He pulls back a curtain, and that's when it happens. A blood-curdling scream erupts from inside the room. Chris sprints out of the building, full panic. And later, when he reviews the footage, he notices something he didn't see at the time. A shadow. A man's outline in the building earlier, moving into a room in the distance. Which means the scream wasn't random. It wasn't sudden. Someone was inside that school, watching him work his way closer the entire time. The final moment takes place in Ontario, Canada. There's a small area locals call Devil's Elbow, and there's an abandoned mansion tied to rumors of occult rituals and disturbing history. A YouTuber named John goes to explore it alone at night. From the start, he hears noises upstairs, and he tries to rationalize it. He says he hopes it's paranormal because the alternative is worse, a real person. He climbs the stairs. The noises stop, then start again, louder. John calls out, says he's not there to rob anyone, says he'll leave. No response. Then a voice erupts from deeper inside the mansion, clear enough to understand. I'm going to kill you. John doesn't investigate. He doesn't call out again. He runs, and he doesn't look back until he's far away from the building. And here's what makes that terrifying. If someone is willing to scream that in a pitch-dark, abandoned mansion, they're either trying to scare you off or they mean it. And the problem is, in that moment, you don't get to find out which one. You only get one smart choice. Leave now. If there's one pattern in all 5 of these moments, it's this. The scariest part of urban exploring isn't the building. It's the possibility that you're not alone, that someone is living there, hiding there, or watching you in total silence.